Hello, I'm Drew White. This is my first devlog for my new game, The Wisp Between. The project started not as a project at all, but instead a quick way to practice some coding in C# within Unity, the game engine. I'm a current sophomore computer science major at Michigan State University, and working on something new and fresh seemed like a good way to stay somewhat involved over the quarantine time, while also working on my other passion, game design. Now, what is The Wisp Between? Well, let's start at the beginning. The initial idea came from a dream, actually. I was in my house, but the whole thing was upside down, so I was walking on the ceiling with my bed and everything else above me. I wanted the player to be able to move from normal gravity to a reverse gravity up to the ceiling at will. After creating a capsule and using a basic movement system, I first set the scroll wheel to be able to scroll through the gravity variable. You could set it anywhere you wanted to, from the normal 9.81 all the way to negative whatever. With this working, it already allowed for some fun puzzle design, but there was more to add. The next ability I came up with was allowing the capsule to be able to click objects at will and give them a reverse gravity as well. To accomplish this, I used a raycast to the mouse click position that, if the object has normal gravity, adds it to a list and flips the gravity around. Vice versa, if the object is already on the ceiling, it will be removed from the list and brought back to the physics we know so well. A minor hiccup occurred when clicking seemed to be very sporadic. As it turned out, all my raycasts were simply missing the far too small colliders I had set up already. There was still something missing. The player could move themselves up or down at will, as well as the objects around them, but there was a clear lack of horizontal variation. This is where the final ability came into picture, the gravity throw. This idea came from media such as Remedy's Control and other telekinetic superheroes. For as long as the right click is held, the object rises, and once it's released, the object is sent flying. This ability uses a similar raycast system. With the two abilities in place, there was one final addition to basic character movement, the ability to turn around. The game uses a fixed camera behind the player, and to add some variation to it all, felt vital to allow the player to turn. All camera animations are currently temporary, but I feel they get the job done well enough to allow the player to know what is happening. A minor hiccup arose when the player turned around while on the ceiling, as the animations didn't merge well with the environment. For now anyway, if the player turns around while on the ceiling, they fall back to the floor. Think about it. Being on the ceiling and spinning would probably make you dizzy enough to fall as well. With most of the core mechanics done, it was now time to create the enemy. With the same capsule shape, he was given only one ability, to shoot. I originally had the bullet fly from a makeshift gun that the capsule held from its hip, but this was quickly scrapped for the reasons you'll see later. The enemy gun also uses a raycast system that allows the bullet to travel along the ray. To defeat the enemy, the player must make one of the interactable objects collide with the enemy. In the original state, this made the enemy drop the gun object. When an enemy is dead, the player is able to shift their gravity and throw them as any other object. Morbid, I know. This is about where a shift was made. It was all great practice, and I was learning a lot, but I felt as there was a core piece missing. The capsules were just that, capsules. The mechanics felt they needed an idea to back them up. The idea of the wisps was born. You play as a wisp that has just awoken with no memory of its past or powers. What are wisps? For now, I'm going to keep the story elements under wrap, but there are a few hints in this video as to the bigger picture. The current temporary wisps are created out of Unity's particle system. Colors change based on health and gravity orientation. The enemies are pretty evil looking wisps as well, that turn white and shrivel up when killed. The player currently has 3 lives per level, with each bullet claiming 1 life. As for the whole death aspect, I wanted to make things interesting. Rather than a simple game over screen, upon death the player is sent into a new screen. The wisp falls through a black nothingness with tons of other wisps appearing and disappearing around them. The player eventually lands on a platform with 2 small arches. Return to the level or give up. The wisps currently only appear and disappear, but adding animations to have them fade in and out in the future is a must. At this point, I felt it was time to throw everything together. An example level was made to test and try each little piece of the game: gravity flipping, gravity throwing, dodging bullets, enemy combat, and even a new UI system put in place that flashes text on the screen. Everything was working as expected after almost a day of fixing, and it was time to create a small little piece of the game. You begin with no powers and no recollection of who you are, or should I say were. Keep in mind all assets are currently temporary. I'm currently not a 3D modeler or even artistic enough to whip up much. Regardless, please enjoy.